Okay, today's lesson is on understanding division using models and strategies. Your vocabulary word or term is area model. It's a way to show multiplication or division using rectangles. That's just one of the models or strategies you're going to use on today's lesson. So let's start with that one. You're going to get questions using this area model to show division. So, based on Jeff's results so far, what is the quotient of 2,352 divided by 4? So here's what Jeff did. He took 2,352 and split it into 3 different numbers that could be divided by 4. He knew that 2,000 could be divided by 4, and he knew that 320 could be divided by 4, and that 32 could be divided by 4, and that those add up to 2,352. Okay, so when he divides 2,000 by 4, 4 goes into 25 times, and there would be 2 zeros. In other words, yeah, I know that 4 times 500 makes 2,000. So that means that 2,000 divided by 4 is 500. Okay, so we're looking right there. And now let's look at 320. 320 divided by 4 is, well, 4 goes into 32 8 times, so it's going to be 80. And then 32 divided by 4 is 8. So that's what he came up with. So if you add those up, 500 plus 80 plus 8, you're going to get 588. So when we look at the different possible answers, Jeff got the quotient of 588, and let's make sure it makes sense, because 2,352 does equal 2,000 plus 320 plus 32. Okay, if you add those up, it does equal the number that we started with, 320, 32. That does 32. Wow. Let me fix that. Okay. And that's 320. That does add up to 2,352. And when you divide 2,000 by 4, you get 500. 320 divided by 4 is 80. 32 divided by 4 is 8, and that does add up to that. So if you're doing a problem with the area model, you should figure out what the answer is, do it yourself, and then check and see which one gives you that answer. Okay? So let's look at the next one. You're going to get problems using base 10 blocks. Okay, so let's look at this problem. Michael uses base 10 blocks to divide 845 by 5. So he split 845 into 5 equal groups. So let's take a look at the different answers that we have to choose from. Which statement correctly describes why 845 divided by 5 equals 169? Okay, does it show the sum of 169 and 5? No. There are 169 in each group, but you're not adding 5 to it. You have 5 of those groups. It shows the difference of 845 and 5. No, difference means subtract. See, sum means add, difference means subtract. Those two don't make sense. Okay, the third one. It shows 5 equal groups of 100, 6 tens, and 9 ones. 100, that's right here. 6 tens, that's right there. And 9 ones. It does show that, 5 equal groups. Okay, so that's looking good. And let's look at this last one to make sure that it doesn't make sense. It shows 5 equal groups of 800s. Well, there's not 5 equal groups of 800s. There are 5 equal groups of 169. There's that first one. There's another group of 169, third group, fourth group, 5 groups of 169. And if you add those all up, that equals 845. So the correct answer is just the third choice. Okay, let's look at the next model. Partial quotients. There's two different ways that they're using partial quotients. They're using an expanded form one, which we'll look at right here. So let's talk about that. What is 3,540 divided by 5? Okay, so in the expanded form, you're going to try to divide the 3,000 by 5, the 500 by 5, and the 40 by 5. But after you divide those by 5, you need to add up the sums. So what you're going to do is you are going to divide those each by 5, but you're not going to subtract your answers. That wouldn't make sense. So this is an incorrect answer for a couple reasons. First, you don't subtract those. You're going to have to add up the different partial quotients. You're going to divide each section and put those together. So you're not going to subtract them. Secondly, 3,000 divided by 5 is not 60. 3,000 divided by 5 is 600. Okay, because 30 divided by 5 is 6, and there's 2 more zeros, so it should be 6 with 2 zeros. 500 divided by 5 is 100, and 40 divided by 5 is 8. So those are the answers that you should end up getting. So let's look at the next problem. It has some of the same problems. These partial quotients are not 60, 10, and 8. 60 and 10 are both wrong. It's supposed to be 600, 100, and 8. So 600, 108, the third option looks good except they're subtracting. You don't subtract the partial quotients. You put them together. You add them up. So it looks like it better be this last one. 600, 100, and 8 put together, 708, that's it. Okay, so that's the correct answer. Now let's look at another way to use partial quotients. And the last way. You can use it with long division. So let's make sure we understand what Blair did here to divide 156 by 6. She wrote it in long division form, and she knows that 60 is part of 156, this 60 right here. Okay, and 6 times 10 makes 60. 6 times another 10 makes another 60, and 6 times 6 makes 36. Okay, so now when you put all of those partial products together, you end up with 26. Okay, this could be a little bit confusing, so let's take another look at that. So what it looks like Blair did is she didn't know how many times 6 went into 156, but she did know how many times 6 went into 60, which is part of 156. So how many times does 6 go into 60? 10 times. Now that's only dividing 60 of the 156, so there's still some left to divide. So if you take the 60 away from 156, you get 96. And how many times does 6 go into 96? Blair did not know, but she did know that 6 goes into 60 10 times, so she did that again. So she's dividing the 60 out of 96. She's just dividing that part of 96, and she got 10. And that left 36 left. And so 6 goes into 36 6 times exactly, and that's it. Now she's divided the whole thing. So she divided it in 3 different steps. She divided a 60, and a 36, and altogether that makes 156. So when you add these numbers up, you get 26. So the answer is 26. It's this one here. Okay? So now, it's time for your classroom example. Go ahead and find the quotient. Nicholas used the area model. He drew it up. All you need to do is find the quotient of 7,644 divided by 7. Okay? Write this example into your notes and be ready to show it to me in the next station.